Hey, what's going on YouTube? In this video, I'm reviewing the most anticipated game of this generation so far. Destiny was the first game developed by Bungie since they completed their work on Halo Reach. Destiny is published by Activision, who are also the publishers of Call of Duty. I played the beta and I promised that I would remain as open-minded about the game as possible. Even though the only reason I'm playing this game is because I was a fan of Bungie's Halo, I wanted to be objective and not let developer history influence my opinions about the game. For the record and new viewers, I'm primarily a PC gamer and consoles are my COD box. I've used the term console peasant a few times in my videos. To clarify, I don't genuinely think of console gamers as lesser gamers than PC gamers. There is a difference between a console gamer and a console peasant. A console peasant is someone who thinks that consoles are humanity's best technological advancement since the invention of the wheel. A console peasant will unconditionally defend Sony and Microsoft's every decision. A console peasant thinks that mods ruin games. You get the idea. I'm much more of a fan of gaming as a whole than just PC gaming, so I want all gamers to get the best experience for their money and more importantly for their time. Therefore, I really wanted Destiny to succeed because console exclusives are the primary reason why someone would play on console over a PC. Console exclusives should be high quality and memorable experiences that warrant the exclusivity label. That's why it pains me to have so many criticisms regarding Destiny's gameplay. Before I talk about Destiny's downfalls, I want to begin my review with a more positive note and talk about the game as a whole and what it manages to do well. Today's review will only cover the single player and cooperative portions of the game because the multiplayer is such a large segment that it warrants its own video. Destiny's story takes place after the fall of humanity. The events leading to humanity's collapse begin with the discovery of the Traveler, a spherical construct, on Mars. The Traveler's origins aren't known in depth, and what it actually does and how it functions are vague, but the Traveler's discovery ushered in a golden age of human exploration and expansion. Humanity gained technologies that allowed them FTL travel and the ability to colonize other planets. However, another vague entity known only as the Darkness was engaged in an interstellar war with the Traveler and followed it to human-occupied space. Humans had to abandon colonies and retreat towards Earth. To save humanity, the Traveler sacrificed itself. Now, humanity only has one safe bastion, the city. You play as a Guardian, tasked with restoring humanity to its former glory. There are three races that your Guardian can be. You can be a human, an Exo, who are a race of sentient machines, or an Awoken, an alien race inspired by fantasy creatures such as elves and vampires. An artificial intelligence power construct, the Ghost, revives you from Earth's wasteland. Together, you and your Ghost fight across Earth, the Moon, Venus, and Mars to repel humanity's enemies. First and foremost, before any other gaming genre classification, Destiny is a first-person shooter. You play the campaign missions by yourself or with the fire team. The game plays, for lack of a better comparison, just like Borderlands. This is probably not the first time you've heard this comparison, and it probably won't be the last. The weapons have considerable recoil and intricacies to their uses. You have to stay mobile and learn how to effectively strafe and jump around enemies to make yourself a more elusive target. Aiming down sights for an accuracy bonus is possible on all guns instead of just precision rifles. Destiny's biggest gameplay emphasis is on character progression. Here's where the shooter genre bleeds into that of an RPG. You gain experience from killing enemies that you use to level up and unlock new active and passive character abilities. Obtaining new weapons or armor is a vital part of the allure of endgame gameplay. Items can drop from any enemy, and you can buy items from shop with in-game currency. The gameplay resemblance to Borderlands continues with numbers popping up over enemies showing the exact damage you are doing to them. This is a curious aesthetic decision that is immersion breaking to a game that prides itself on having a serious overtone. There are 3 playable classes and each one has its own unique skills and abilities. The Titan class is the tank. Their supercharged ability is an area of effect ground pound. The Hunter class is more of a flanker and stealth class. Their supercharged ability is a pistol that is capable of one-shot kills with hits to anywhere on the body. The Warlock class is a spellcaster. His supercharged ability is an aimed energy sphere. There are a very diverse set of enemies in this game. The Fallen are a nomadic alien race and the first enemy you encounter. They fight using conventional and familiar tactics, often with the captain directing grunts. The Hive are insectoid enemies. They have projectile capabilities, but can also send swarms towards the player. The Vex are a machine race, and lastly you have the Cabal, a well-organized and formidable enemy that is stronger on a unit-to-unit basis compared with the rest of the enemy races. All enemies require different approaches and have interesting defense mechanisms. For example, the Hobgoblin, a medium-level class of the Vex, becomes temporarily immune to damage after your first hit on them. This temporary barrier diminishes after a while and can recharge if you go too long without landing a hit. In between and after campaign missions, you have the opportunity to undergo strike missions, which must be done cooperatively. These are like raids where you have to delve through dungeons to defeat enemies and the boss. There are also planned special events that are significantly harder raids but with much better rewards. Destiny's art style is amazing. Each setting captures the brilliance of a beautiful disaster. Exploring the ruins of civilizations past is reminiscent of exploring the Forerunner ruins in Halo. Destiny's soundtrack is brilliant and helps set the game's mood. Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, composers who worked on the Halo soundtracks, also worked on Destiny's soundtrack. Although Destiny reaches many new heights as a new science fiction IP, the player is often dragged down to earth painfully when they experience the game's problems. The single-player mission structure is simple and repetitive. All of the missions are a variation of go to this place, kill these enemies, and let your ghost tinker around for a bit, and defend him while he tinkers around, and then leave. Some of the missions even involve significant amounts of backtracking over areas you visited before. Repetition becomes boredom in short order. Every shooter game involves going places and killing things, there's no getting away from that, but the better shooter campaigns alleviate repetition by varying the pace and the approaches of your battles. Destiny fails to do this. When you look at the character classes critically, you can tell that they are more similar than they are different. Besides the supercharged, grenade, and melee abilities, there is not much outside of aesthetics that differentiate how each class plays. Each class can use any type of weapon, and the passive abilities are rather simplistic in how they influence your late level character builds. One of the most satisfying aspects of committing to an RPG is getting deep into the skill tree and making your class truly unique compared to what everyone else is running. Destiny is limited in this regard. Some of the design decisions could be to balance multiplayer, because if there are too many different variables, the equation could be difficult to balance. However, that's a risk that all RPGs with PvP have to take. Destiny erring on the side of caution could be detrimental in the long run. Boss battles are lame, there's no complex strategy to fighting them, you just shoot them in their weak spots. Another inherent flaw in the game design is that grinding is an integral part of the gameplay. There are some missions that will be too difficult for you even with the fire team to undertake if you haven't done the prerequisite grinding. I do think that grinding has a place in gaming. In fact, in my last gameplay review, I said that it was stress relieving to grind through the zombie hordes in Dead Rising 3. The main difference though is that I was doing the grind on my own terms. I chose to grind even though I could have progressed further. Forcing grinding gameplay on the player after they have to endure the repetitive single player is a disastrous formula. Item drops are grossly imbalanced. Any enemy can drop any item of any rarity. There's no difference in the level of loot that you get from killing a basic minion to killing a high level boss. This leads to farming runs rather than challenging fights. The game's story is less than stellar. There are no memorable characters for the player to identify with. The game overuses titles in the place of names. Your ghost is only known as Ghost, the speaker is only known as Speaker, and so on and so forth. Throughout the whole game, all you do is play follow the leader with your ghost. Really, who is the main character? Is it you, or is it the ghost? It's hard to care about anything that happens to anyone in Destiny. And finally, the game plays at 30 frames per second. Until developers stop making multi-platform games for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, the newer consoles will never reach their full potential. On a side note, I don't understand the point of making a console-only exclusive as opposed to just an Xbox or a PlayStation exclusive. You don't get the benefits of optimizing for standardized hardware. I'm obviously not a business executive or a marketing professional, but I just cannot see the logic behind not allowing Destiny to launch on PC even with a delayed launch. 30 frames per second is not an allowable gameplay standard in modern hardcore games. Destiny was an important game for the new generation of consoles. The game was supposed to be a uniting experience, giving gamers a world to share. a world that they couldn't wait to lose themselves in for hours at a time and not want to leave. Only few will reach that level of dedication. The game is not a definitive gaming experience that I would recommend to any casual gamer. Only the truly hardcore need to apply to Destiny. Any game where grinding is integral to the gameplay and the end game is where the game starts to become mildly rewarding is not for those who only have a passing interest. For the uninitiated, Destiny will feel more like doing a chore than playing a game. I give Destiny's single player and cooperative gameplay a C+. Thank you for watching my review of Destiny's single player and cooperative gameplay. Leave a like rating if I was informative. My name is David. Keep an eye out for my multiplayer review and I will see you next video.